there. So to get an idea of what it would look like, and you can see with the binoculars, you can see the person, and people were jumping. It had to be hot to make that decision. And he's hanging out there.
World Trade Center, then a second crashing into the second tower of the World Trade Center.
Unbelievable.
Word now that
in a single prop helicopter.
That a plane has crashed into.
And he looked like he was lowering a line.
It has been evacuated along with the west wing of the White House. The Treasury has been evacuated. The Capitol evacuated. The Sears Tower in Chicago.
It wasn't a news helicopter.
In Chicago has been evacuated. There was no threat of an attack against the Sears Tower, but they're obviously going to quit while they're ahead there. And all of this, the world...
Oh, wait. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. The building fell. Are you there? The building just fell.
Which?
Oh, my God. The South building just crumbled from the top. Oh, my God. The building just fell. The entire World Trade Center on the South building just fell. I just saw the whole thing. Oh, my God.
If you're just joining us this morning, you're in for a horrific surprise. Both buildings of the World Trade Center have been hit by aircraft, and the South Tower of the World Trade Center has apparently collapsed in a pile of dust. What did you see?
Oh, lots of smoke, and then the next thing I heard an explosion, and the building from the top, the South building, just crumbled.
This is 1010 Winds, WINS New York. One of the
completely down.
Two towers, the South Tower of the World Trade Center, has just crumbled, collapsed in a pile of dust. This approximately less than an hour after it was hit by an aircraft.
The second building completely down.
Actually, the one in the back was the one that tilted. I thought it fell. You know, it looked like it went like this, and I saw and it disappears, and I'm like, the building fell into Manhattan. You know, those towers, that would have been 2-3 blocks of high-rises wiped out. And somehow, however that could be, that building, I saw some of the other angles and things, and the building and then slid down or something into how the hell it does that with inertia, and I can't imagine how that could naturally occur.
It was very much like a controlled demolition when you look at it, because the building essentially fell almost vertically down, as if someone had deliberately set blasts to take place to cause the building to fall vertically downward.
A light-colored dust detonation zone quickly progresses down the side of the tower while the corner structure remains intact. Within 3 seconds, the detonation zone has become roughly 30 stories tall, with the dark smoke collapse zone far above.
We made it at least 2 blocks, and we started running, floor by floor, instead of popping out.
It was as if they had detonated. As if they were planned to take down a building. Boom, 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 boom.
All the way down. I was watching it and running.
Let's examine why the official pancake collapse theory is an unrealistic deception. The North and South Towers were made in 3 sections. Reinforced elevator floors for the sky lobby and heavy motors are directly below the impact zone and would stop a genuine collapse, forcing the top section to fall into the street. According to Newton's first law of motion, the law of inertia, an object in motion tends to stay in motion with the same speed and same direction unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. A pancake collapse theory violates the laws of science because the momentum of the top section would not be conserved according to Newton's second law of motion. Newton's third law of motion states that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Therefore, the action of high-powered explosions produces the equal and opposite reaction of ejected steel beams and pulverized concrete dust.
Millions of people watched the horror of 9/11 right before their very eyes, live on television. 2 planes crashing into the World Trade Center, and less than a couple of hours later, both towers, of course, collapsing. My next guest says that hijackers may not have brought down the towers by themselves. Here to explain his controversial theory, Stephen Jones. He's a professor of physics at Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah. Professor Jones, thanks for coming on.
Sure, thanks, Tucker.
Well, just sum up this, obviously, your theory, just the one sentence that I just explained in the intro, contradicts what we all think we know about how these towers collapsed. Quickly sum up your explanation for what happened.
As we read in the FEMA report, it says here, and I put this in my paper, of course, the best hypothesis, which is the only one they looked at, fire, has only a low probability of occurrence. Further investigation, analyses are needed to resolve this issue, and I agree with that.
Okay.
But they admit there's only a low probability. And if you look at the collapse, you see what I've studied is the fall time, the symmetry, the fact that it first dips in the middle, that's called the kink, which is very characteristic, of course, of controlled demolition.
Professor, I am sorry that we are out of time, and I'm not sure that
Whoa.
You've
one other thing I want to mention about...
Okay, if you can hit it,
okay,
with it quickly.
all right. Okay, here we go. Molten metal in the basements of all 3 buildings.
Right.
And yet all scientists now reasonably agree that the fires were not sufficiently hot to melt the steel. So what is this molten metal? It's a direct evidence for the use of high-temperature explosives such as thermite. Thermite produces molten iron as an end product.
Okay.
So well, we do have... yeah, it's a very short time, but people will read the paper, then I talk about the molten metal, the symmetry of the collapse, and the weaknesses and inadequacies of the fire hypothesis.
Professor, we're going to have to leave it to our viewers who are interested enough to follow up to do just that. We appreciate your coming on, even if I don't understand your theories. We appreciate you trying to explain them. Thanks.
Here we can see molten thermite leaking from an outer steel support moments before the South Tower collapse was initiated, confirming Professor Jones' theory. Let's take another look at the dust clouds and what caused them before World Trade Center 2 fell.
And the Holland tunnels, they are also closed down. Let's go to 1010 Winds reporter Eileen LaPalma of the Capitol and the Treasury, also having been evacuated. What we have not heard yet are casualty figures for what is obviously a massive disaster at the World Trade Center, and there is no doubt massive loss of life there, because the World Trade Center obviously is visible for many, many miles, and it's hard to miss when there is smoke and a massive explosion coming out of it.
Within the building that I can see from here on top, they have police helicopters overhead, I think, to keep everybody else away. And the smoke is billowing, still heading towards Brooklyn. You can smell the smoke from here. It's coming from the entire area of both buildings. It's unbelievable.
Well, this really is a case of a situation that you thought couldn't get any worse, getting progressively worse.
Yes.
First one plane crashing into the World Trade Center, then a second crashing into the second tower of the World Trade Center.
Unbelievable.
Word now that a plane has crashed into the Pentagon. It has been evacuated along with the West Wing of the White House. The Treasury has been evacuated. The Capitol evacuated. The Sears Tower in Chicago has been evacuated. There was no threat of an attack against the Sears Tower, but they're obviously going to quit while they're ahead there.
The seismic record from Palisades, New York, as published in the FEMA report, indicates massive peak signals of short duration, typical of high-velocity military weapons-grade explosives, that registered 2.1 and 2.3.